Well, Nemiga left a lot to be desired in that first map. It was disjointed. It was just poor, I guess we could say. They got absolutely dismantled, whereas North, they looked on fire. We now go into the second map, which is the choice of Nemiga. A map which, realistically, it looked like North struggled on quite heavily versus Furia yesterday, but maybe we're just seeing Furia at the very top of their game and North still trying to find some space to grow. If Nemiga lose this map, they are out of the tournament and they will be joining some of the others in that last place spot. If they can take this one to Nuke, who knows? Maybe it becomes more of an open game.
Nuke, of course, though, is a map that Danes typically do pretty decently on, with a couple of Swedes on top of it. But Inferno, for the here and now, is one of the maps where North got completely battered yesterday, albeit against the Furia Informers we've already touched on. So I don't know how much you can realistically take from that game. North will be starting on the CT side, though, Tom, and that does concern me a little bit for Nemiga. If they start slowly again, North can really build up a head of steam. 1-for-1 trades, Christo having a bit of an awkward engagement alongside the bridge player of MDS, who runs out of ammunition, finally gets the kill. Elsewhere, Jo went on to Gay. The bomb has been dropped down around T steps, and Cajun's on top of it. That smoke's not ideal. There's a slight gap in the smoke, and Cajun can look to exploit that one. They try and jump onto the bomb, but Lollipop misses it. It's a complete fiesta again. Nemiga are their own worst enemies. They've perforated the smoke, penetrated in for the kill onto Christo, and now they have a free B site. It will be a post plant. What the hell am I watching, Tom?
Well, they're going all the way around. Round the world they go. This is a strat that normally you only get in strat roulette, but maybe that's the book that they're reading. They'll actually wrap back around, though, and they played this quite well versus Kriaz. I think he's probably going to be as confused as when you are playing against the team using strat roulette, because normally you see them crouching and jumping and using guns you wouldn't expect, but Nemiga instead have just gone back towards the B site. They've got their after plant position and are now for Kriaz. New man on the block, on trial. A Swede amongst mostly Danes, and let's see if he can maybe convert a few people to his side of things.
And Kriaz has that kit. Does he have the pixel perfect surgical precision headshots? He needs to get a move on as well. He does have that kit, as I just mentioned, but the time is very low on the bomb. Good positions, crossfire for Nemiga. I think Kriaz has just taken way, way too long on this push. At this point, I don't even know why he's pushing in. Like, there's no way he wins the round. And that kit could have been useful going into the next round, but doesn't really matter a great deal. Nemiga had already put themselves into a good spot. It was a very odd round, though, Tom. You mentioned it yourself, like almost a strat roulette type of deal. I think Nemiga got away with murder, if I'm being honest. There were a number of times where North could have shut them down.
Yeah, I'm interested to see if they are going to change much of their dynamic from when we saw them playing a few days ago, because it was very, very heavy in the buy rounds on Banana. And I feel like a lot of teams, although that's, you sort of look probably thinking, well, Tom, that's pretty much every game of Inferno. No, I mean, they will go Banana every single round and then just leave a lurker on the other side. Preparation here, but Lollipop snaps both heads straight off as he walks through. They bypass Cajun B, which could give him a free B kill onto Speedak. It's all going to come down to timing. And actually, Speedak, it seems like he's waiting around the other angle. I'm actually quite curious as to what he's doing. I think he's just making the jump across, and he's managed to almost completely wrap past Cajun B. It's a bit of a weird one. The remaining CTs have come around the arch side and look to wait for that smoke to fade, but just as it does, they throw down a second, although I'm not sure if that's going to cover off the whole land.
They waited so long for that plant that it's allowed North to get up close, and there was a player that was watching Banana, which is Box. This is effectively a 3v2. Unless they stall it, and then Box will get back into close enough proximity. Lollipop, who's already snatched in for two, will get a third. The head of Cajun B is removed, and now Box sprays out Kriaz from the side. It seems like Nemiga will close the gaps and put this round to bed after all. It's not as if it was an eco from Gade and co either. They went in for a force, and they have been punished. Just a couple of iffy moments, Tom. Nemiga, not quite this clear-cut as they were hoping for after getting the opening 2 kills in Lollipop.
Yeah, that's the thing, though. That's one of the things that has bailed this team out for a long time, is I genuinely believe if he left this team, they'd be done for. And I think we witnessed that even in some of the matches that we saw previously in the DreamHack Open November, is without him, they were nowhere near as good. Don't get me wrong, Forrester was a decent player. He performed to a high standard, dropping, say, 20-odd kills per map, but that is not enough. They need someone who's going to drag them through, kicking and screaming. And Jo even sort of said it yesterday. It's like, oh, yeah, it's really good to have him back. It's like, it's brought new life to the team. It's like, well, he was only gone a couple of weeks. Like, it's not like he's been gone for like 6 months or something. Like, you talk about Astralis with Zipix being gone for a while, or Glaive. Like, they were gone for months. Whereas he was gone for a few weeks, and it was almost like, well, he'd been gone for years, and they just felt, oh, he's back, everything's going to change again. But that's because he's just so good individually that the rest of the team, a lot of the time, can get away with some of the mistakes because he will bail them out of them.
They need a big bailout if they're going to come back into this best of 3, but at least they've started pretty much in the perfect way, albeit some shaky rounds, sure, but they've got themselves a 3-0 start. And as much as I was talking about if the Nemiga start slow into Inferno and North get themselves a stabilized CT side, the other side of that coin is if they can just blitz through North, keep their opponent low, they can post up a very heavy amount of rounds. Plus, you did touch on this, Tom, when it comes through to their T-half, you kind of expect them to maybe do a little bit better. Now, we didn't see a great deal of that T-half because they just got slaughtered so hard on the CT side. Now they get a chance to start on T-half and show us what they've got. Now they get a chance to actually really pressure and pivot in North and find those weaknesses, as Furia did yesterday.
Oh, first round, mentioned it. Battle for Banana begins. Box is just going to tank all the nades possible as he runs through. A lot of investment into utility, and rightly so. You need to try and deny this team as much as possible. It's something a lot of teams struggle to do. In fact, the whole squad is still waiting bottom of Banana. They push nowhere on the map, just trying to take this control. And eventually, after Gage gets tagged down to 15 HP, North have had to give it up.
I've given it up, but they've whittled away plenty of time. Some utility also tossed in. Another incendiary now onto Banana. There's a gap in between the two of them, and they already have top Banana control. But 3 players now on North, on B. They can boost up towards the CT side. They actually whiff it. They have to go back in again.
I've never seen anyone whiff that.
I know, that's quite surprising, isn't it? Fortunately, it doesn't get punished, though, for North, as Nemiga look to pull the plug. They're starting to head back over on middle before second-guessing themselves again. Maybe just checking that middle wasn't being aggressed on. And now the bullseye firmly on that B site. North have not budged an inch. They've kept 3 players over in this vicinity. Obviously, they've made a read. Cajun is just hiding at the backside, waiting for the flashes to dissipate, so he can now show his hand. It's only 1 kill, but he's drawn away fire. Allows Gage now to come in with 3 quick fire. M4 snappy shots. And the man that dropped over 20 on train is picking it all up again. 3-1. Still in favor of Nemiga. They'll have a bye, but at least North are putting up some serious contesting over this Banana side of the map.
Gade has been on it today. I do start to wonder, because especially now with him in-game leading, it looks like he's looking to try and actually take more control himself. Like, put himself on a, not on a pedestal, but I guess as like the sacrificial lamb, like taking the risky plays to try and set up other players. But he's also making a lot of them work. And you have to remember, like, he was previously one of the entry fraggers for this squad, especially when he first joined the team. He can do it, and I'm liking it. Deny Nemiga Banana control. Like, do as much damage as you can, because that's their main focus when it comes to this map, is Banana. You sort of mentioned that in the last round, they almost look hesitant to go anywhere else. Well, that's because a lot of the time they don't, unless Lollipop gets a multi-frag. That is their whole game plan. It is, we will take Banana. If Lollipop kills some people on A, then we go A. If not, then we go B.
First 2 picks. Looking good on North. Christo can't quite flick across. It would have been a beautiful shot if he connected it. And already got one just before. It's the 2 new recruits, Kriaz and Christo, have dipped into their back pocket and pulled out some success. Lollipop, though, another entry. A player that you always have to respect is having that ability to turn rounds on their head. He may go down, but he bought up enough time for MDS to rip through Lecro, and the post plan does come into effect. This is still a round that could go the way of Nemiga. And with North's economy and a few of these players, a little bit rough. This could turn into something truly disastrous for the Danes and Swedes. MDS gets flashed in, doesn't affect him, but it is a 1-for-1 trade. And now Box, who's perched up in apps, is the last man standing. They smoked off Pit. That won't be the correct decision overall. And now they're going to find out, but Box needed to get that kill quickly. He's on very low HP and gets finished off. And I do wonder if maybe he rushed the shot there, Tom. When you have very low HP and the timer of the bomb's not too far away from detonation, I feel like he could have waited a bit longer.
Yeah, they say patience is a virtue, but you can understand it in clutch situations. Like you want to try and win things out. I think Christo as well in this round was superb. Like he not only gets the opening pick, he helps close out the round towards the end, and also I think tagged the second player with his AWP as well. So good start from him. It is going to be juggled over. I think Gade maybe not realizing that he had it, or thinking he had a better spawn than he did. For Nemiga once again. Maybe that early battle for Banana. I feel like I'm going to sound like a broken record by the end of this match, Vince, but it is something they do nigh on every round. It can be quite infuriating as well, because I think especially with the way that Lollipop is able to open things up on A, they could have a very effective A take. But it's almost like, well, either he just wants to play the lurker and doesn't like the idea of having support, or they just really like B, which I think a lot of teams do. Flashbang through, though. This time they're looking to try and set MDS up to help out a little bit. With the failures over towards Banana in the last couple of rounds. They've just left JO there behind. Great flashbang, but actually MDS doesn't get a single kill off of it.
Yeah, he's got to do better in that position, honestly. He did a lot of damage, and now Christo's been finished off, but it should have been a kill. It should have potentially even been 2. Now, he has forced through just hyper-aggressive plays the library position, but it looked like a wraparound maybe taking shape, and with him losing his life, Kriaz can now turn his attention back onto B. So this is a very poor round from MDS. 2 separate mistakes that could cost them so much. Kriaz gets aggressive, goes straight in with the AK, taking down Speedak, and now Gade can look to try and pivot in and pincer and lock down the site one more time. Playing the box perfectly. It's both kills to Gade. Of course it is. The way he's playing, you expect him to clutch every single scenario. But you go back to MDS and you think, man, if he gets 1 kill on the cross there, that's probably round done. If he then goes into library and takes down Kriaz, that's like a 1v4 situation comes in for Gade. But he misses out on both opportunities.
I want to say the thing I've noticed throughout this map is the players from North seem to have so many more and almost better supportive flashbangs for a team that's only been, well, fully practicing together for like 3 days. It's pretty impressive. Like, sure, a lot of the time it's just you calling for flashbangs, but to get them spot on, not bad. Cajun B is going to go down early on, but it was mainly due to trying to support the aggression of Christo, and he ends up trading to the AK anyway, so for him, I guess it's just a free upgrade. Of course, this round is all about doing a little bit of extra damage. Again, supportive flash thrown through. Kriaz, I don't know if it necessarily helped him too much, but it gives him the space to push forward. Now Lollipop is going to try and do everything on his own shoulders, and unfortunately, they're not quite wide enough.
What I absolutely love about this North performance, and some of it may be somewhat facilitated by Nemiga just clearly not being on their A game, but you see how much they got bullied yesterday against Furia. Like, on both sides, they're constantly being pushed, constantly taken out of their comfort zone. Look how aggressive they are right now, Tom. They're pushing down middle, pushing down Banana, pushing into apps. Like, they are the aggressors. They have gone from being the bullied to the bulliers. And that's such a great turnaround from North. And if we do get an interview with Gade, for example, I can't wait to ask this question, because it feels like they've taken so much of what happened to Heart and they've drastically changed up their CT side already.
I think the thing as well with that is to do that versus a team like Nemiga, when even in the interview he mentioned that he knew that they were a very aggressive team. A lot of teams will shy away from that because you almost feel like you're giving them what they want. But the fact is, almost like disrespecting them to this level is actually working out wonderfully. Kriaz, he manages to get in there, trade the kill. They've done so much damage on top of that as well. And then he's even able to get out of there and looks to set up a boost for Christo. This could be perfect. The Molotov might cause them a few issues, but I imagine that's going to go deep. So it will probably trap them. MDS, though, great entry. Nade drops down and does even more damage. But the fact is, MDS might have just turned this round on its head.
Yeah, it was a great shot onto Christo, and obviously at that point he knows there's a second player there. He was caught with a nade out. Cajun snuck his way just behind the smoke. Can't really deny the bomb plants. Oh, and Lollipop puts a bullet between his eyes and the smoke. Macro's already committed to potentially clutching this, so he's put himself in an awkward spot and gets shut down from the back. Or maybe I spoke too soon. Lollipop's missed out his chance. Macro down to only 40 HP is making this costly, and these are minor victories. Keep in mind that Nemiga's economy is not in great shape, so every kill that Macro is getting is putting more and more pressure on them. Sure, they get the round, but have a look at their economy. They can drop on box and speed act, but this is going to put them down to very low money, and North can buy again.
Very aggressive stance once again. We've mentioned it already, and in the early stages it worked. They just got caught. MDS managing to make his way around the corner. The second flashbang as well that came through was pretty perfect. We see ourselves at a 4-4 scoreline. Again though, Vince. Gonna see the early net. Stop! Stop pushing Banana so early! They've almost just lost 3 players. Oh my god. That was only 2 nades as well. That's at what? Almost 300 damage?
That is such a sick call. We'll get back onto that in a second because the Nemiga aren't done just yet. They've not been buried. God. MDS comes straight out. He doesn't care about the grenades. He's got an AK and he's delivering headshots for days. How disappointing must that be for North? You've made the perfect read. You've got the perfect start, and then just 2 brisk headshots take it away from you. But what I love about that, and this is the point I was going to make in the last round as well, Tom, is that if North keep playing aggressive, that's great. But at some point, Nemiga are going to get their prediction shoes on. They're going to know they're getting pushed every round, and North may play themselves into awkward positions. So what I love about that round is they don't try and take top Banana. They say, okay, cool. If Nemiga want to try and fight us for Banana, eat this. 2-3 grenades go down. They nearly win the round purely off that basis. And so they're keeping Nemiga guessing. However, you can't really facilitate the prediction charts to say, well, MDS is going to rip round the corner, he's going to take 2 heads off, and we lose the round. That's not really something you're anticipating. So I love it from North. But... Sorry, say again?
Box almost just died to the bomb.
He was super low.
He was 1 HP. He was 1 HP. He went down to 1 HP from the bomb because he was stood so close. That either he's got the best mind for calculating HP, or that was just incredibly lucky not to lose another gun. That's the thing so far. I like that the Nemiga are actually taking a pause here, Vince, because they are winning rounds, but the last 2 rounds they have won have purely been off MDS getting 2 kills running up Banana. And we've seen before, there are 2 sides to MDS. One where he is the best player, and the one where he just gets frustrated very early on and doesn't get any kills. We even saw that literally a few days ago. The problem I have is that this is almost what Nemiga do. I don't feel like that they are the most, even close to having the most strategical depth when it comes to this map. They just manage to win these crazy fights. And they are so good at finding the right timing, the right positioning on this map in particular. And that's why they're in the lead at the moment. And it's unfortunate because you have to think if there was a 3rd player there from North, they get a triple kill at the very early stages of that round. Utility usage has been on point. Even a lot of their positioning has been decent, but there are just players on Nemiga that can do things to you that is very hard to cope with. Even if they're doing the same thing over and over again, they're still going to go down the bottom of Banana in the early stages, but this time the nades bank into the other side and they're not going to do quite as much damage.
Oh, Christo, how is that not a kill? That looked like it was on his chest area. Apparently he just tagged and may have hit his arm. Very unlucky. Grenade does finish him off anyway. A 1-for-1 trade, that will not be a great outcome for North. Not only does it now force them to be a little bit more thinly spread, but they have the worst weapons. 2 MP9s. Kriaz is very patient, doesn't fire off prematurely, and now he's been flashed out of position. Gate decides to drop down and actually goes for the pre-fire. Not sure about that one. They know that Kriaz is on CT. They're unlikely to be checking that boost angle. I don't know if he just got a misread on the timing or what happened there, but he pushed too early on, and that's put a lot more pressure on North, and they may have to save again. can't really justify throwing these 3 weapons away. Maybe they can force out another buy if they're successful, but they actually wait around. They're sticking in position. Kriaz has a defuse kit, but it does seem maybe they're just setting up for exit frags. They've decided, nope, this round's not going to work out for us. It does put Nemiga into a 6-4 lead. And North, they had chances again, but they couldn't quite deliver on that promise.
Well, the go be every round strat continues to be successful for Nemiga. And yeah, that's again, like, this is the thing with this team, is they'll do very similar things again and again, and they're still very difficult to stop, which, if anything, is a skill that I think a lot of teams don't have, is just the rinse and repeat until somebody stops them. But you never know. Well, we'll see. Maybe North have got a counter to it. Of course, in this round, it's not going to be ideal. I kind of hope that they try and set up Cristo towards that B site once again, because that has been the main point of contact throughout this map so far and will continue to be.
I like that confidence. They had the chance to actually buy. It wouldn't have been great, but they decided not to fully invest behind these saved guns. It shows me they feel very good about these 3 weapons. Now, Cristo has been aggressive a few times already on Banana. Goes back in again. They're looking for the boost, but he's ready. He's willing. And he smacks them down with authority. As does Lekro. They went for a cheeky boost in Boiler. These are great starts and openings for North. And now they have to repel an A hit. It feels like a rarity. They're going to trade over Cristo with the AWP, and Cajun just needs to bait and waste a bit of time. Allow the cavalry, allow the support structure to come into play. Lekro now posting up in mini pit. Cajun still on the site. Cristo with the AWP at range, nullifies speed act, but he's given his weight in library before MDS gets caught out in the open. He was trying to aim at Lekro, and North take the round and only lose the 1 player. They didn't need to fully upgrade their guns. 3 was enough.
Yeah, fantastic start from them, and while the boost not working, and fantastic round from Cristo, but also I think it was Lekro getting the other kills on the other side of things. So fantastic work from them. More importantly, Nemiga tried to go A, Vince, and you can't go A. You're only allowed to go B.
That's the concern for Nemiga, though, isn't it? Like, even when they've tried to go B, they're either dealing with Shrapnel or they're dealing with Cristo, who seems like a far cry from what we saw when he was on AGF. A far cry from yesterday on Furia. He seems confident. He seems like he wants to stand his ground and continue his journey at the DreamHack Masters.
Well, once again, it's going to be initial control, but this time North are much more passive. Now, it actually scares me more when teams try to play passive versus Nemiga on the B site, because I've not really seen it work too often. One thing I will give a lot of credit for is they are very good at clearing this bomb site, mainly because they do it all the time. They clear things through, get themselves a path on towards the mini pit, but actually, they lose that first duel. Box is gone. Molotov thrown out will try and force Kriaz out, and it does. He's already lost. Gage trying to go re-aggressive, but he's caught by MDS once again. An impactful frag from him, and it's on to Cajun B. He's found himself a double. Speedak gets the trade, but we end in a 2v2 situation. Bomb yet to go down, and actually counter utility being expended. That flashbang from Lekro was spot on. It hands Cristo a free kill, and it's on to Lollipop, the star of the show in most cases, but he's been a bit quiet so far today. He tries to bait them in with the bomb, but it's not been planted. They'll now know that this next plant should be the real thing. However, again, it's a fake. He's got a few seconds left to plant. He's going to fake it one more time. And Lollipop in the clutch situation has just owned the remaining players of North.
Owned their bank balance. They will have to go in for a buy, but Cajun and Kriaz both down to $2,000. What an important moment that could have been. And maybe that's the catalyst to finally get Lollipop on the server. He's been so quiet. He's lost his voice, but now maybe that rallying cry will come in and the rest of the troops will get behind him. But we did see again that Nemiga, they were far from convincing, far from ruthless enough or efficient enough with their opening chances on the site. Kriaz just seemed to survive forever, and that allowed North to rotate through and have really good positions to thwart that B plant. Had it not been for Lollipop, you're looking at a 6-6. It would have been Nemiga with bad economy, and maybe North traversing to a 9-6 half. So it goes to show just how impactful, again, Lollipop is. It's a stat that we brought up on Train. His impact is typically very high. And moments like that are exactly the reason why they're so high. So Box now down in the tunnels looking to peer up on middle. Cajun's been smoked off. And he's stuck in Boiler anyway with the Deeg, so he just needs to survive as long as possible. Lollipop now around the corner. Oh, you can tell that he is feeling it. He's getting closer to that monitor, but he's getting shut down. They weren't expecting Christau to be in apps this time. It's the first time he's played this angle, and now he can fall back into pit and wait for the T's to push him.
You have forgotten, Vince. You've forgotten the sacred tree of Nemiga, which is the B site. They will go back once again and look to push up Banana. However, there's counter-utility north. They've delayed the throw of their smokes. In fact, they actually still have an incendiary onto Kriaz as well, and if he times it right, they are not getting onto this B site. Gade sat with flash in hand, just watching to see if anybody's going to peek, and he'll call to his teammate to throw that grenade down. He knows this is coming, and right in the last seconds of the round, there goes the incendiary. Bomb dropped on the deck. They were waiting for this push. They were predicting that they would go back in this direction, and Nemiga have lost the round because of it. Kriaz looking to try and claim a gun, might be caught by Speedak, but the fact is he actually gets away scot-free. North, that was superb.
Yeah, can't really fault how they played that round at all. Nemiga overextending in apps, not checking their angles, get punished, and once Lollipop went down, you could see the impact kind of drawing and draining away. Back into B, North were anticipating it. Now Nemiga taking a bit of nade damage to kick things off onto Jaeon. Box just only have 3 primary guns, 3 smokes, and a good flashbang from North again. The difference in utility is vast. There's a gulf between them. The Box does get all of the icons. It was a deagle through the wall in the head through smoke. Kind of fortunate in the end, but North are maintaining their player advantage, and now it's gone to 2. Speedak and Lollipop, 2 of the weapons they had coming into this round, and Lollipop's put the Galil down range, takes off the head of Lekro. Speedak on the cheeky peek has dealt with the threat of Cajun, but the bomb's back at T steps, and Speedak's missed his shot. What? Connect on Christo, but it wasn't good enough. Christo survives on 6.
He must have clipped the wall. It had to, because otherwise I have no idea how he didn't get that kill. It looked like it was dead on, but moving slightly, good position, but Lollipop again looking to try and save them in this round. He might have got this wrong though, maybe predicting the player at the top of mid. Kriaz snapping between his aim, and Lollipop can't quite get it this time. Frustration on the face of the man from Belarus, but this time it will be North taking themselves a 7th, equalizing the scoreline. And this round was weird. Like, so many battles that you never really should see taken. Again, how did that shot not kill him? Again, it must have clipped the wall. That's all I can think of.
As one-sided and brutal as Train was, we actually have a game on our hands here. There's been a couple of very unfortunate moments on Nemiga. Same could be said for North, though. Has equalized. Nemiga through with a MAC-10 and pistols. That's it. Molotov affords Lekro the chance to wallbang. Does have the right idea, just the wrong timing. And Nemiga, who are patiently waiting for the fire and flames to dissipate, now make their move into apps. Flurry of flashbangs. But it's Lekro who stands up close, welcoming, embracing Nemiga with the M4. Christau can see the barrel of the CZ round the corner. Lives to tell the tale with 2 more flicks. It could be more. The flashbang is good. It keeps the T's at bay, but also blinds the AWPer. But there's a crossfire, and North come out in the lead. Going through into the second half, we'll see if they can eliminate Nemiga.
I'm gonna take what's mine, all mine. I'm taking over. I don't care what you say. I'm taking over. Don't stand in my way. Don't stand in my way today.
Yeah, a much closer affair this time, Vince. North looking much better on Inferno than they did yesterday, although it seems that Nemiga are very, very reliant on their clutches. Like Lollipop bringing them through a round or two, MDS as well with some crazy headshot entries. Now they've gone to their CT side, and we will see if they can hold the line versus what was a very good T side from North when it came to train.
Yeah, and had it have not been for that Lollipop clutch, the last 5 rounds would have gone the way of North. So it goes to show like how rough this was towards the start of it. MDS though with the USP is doing so much damage, dropping the bomb out, and Lollipop picks up the slack. Looking good for Nemiga in the pistol, but if they overextend, they overpeak, they can still be punished. Now they're faking the idea that this is going to be an A hit. This draws away box, leaving Jo alone on the site, but the bomb is still way back. Gade is anticipating that they've already flanked around the side. This is maybe where Nemiga's aggression precedes them. That reputation precedes them, because there's no other reason that Gade would be sat back at spawn for this long.
Oh, they're starting to go hunting a little bit box, potentially realizing that this might be a play to B, but he could also have this wrong. As you said, Gade being patient might be enough for them to actually steal this round away. Cristo already is going to pick off another. Still leaving one player on this A site, though, and that might actually be a surprise.
Especially with Speedak's positioning. He knows the smoke's gone down. He knows what's coming up. Does he want to go for the peak? Will he get the chance? Yes, he will. Gade's gone down. And now his position's compromised, but it's down to the young Dane. It's down to the new recruit. It's down to Cristo. He runs out of ammunition on both sides. One of the most awkward encounters you'll see. And now he goes back in. But Jo will pull the trigger and connect the headshot. Cristo will be devastated. He had a real chance at closing that 1v2.
Yeah, unfortunately, with the amount of time that was left, he had to go running for it as well. So that is brutal. That's not going to be a round he wants to remember. And for Nemiga, a little bit of a lifeline there. They took some hefty risks. I think North actually do have a fairly good read on what this team are going to be doing thus far. Unfortunately, in a round like this, we can't really expect too much. It's going to be the Glock train looking to try and do some damage into mid. Kriaz, is he trying to sell a fake? That's what it seems like. But in fact, the fake, all it did was push an incendiary out of the hands of this Nemiga side, and now everybody looks to swarm in. Cristo is going to get the kill of the Lollipop, who seemingly finds the funny side of it. But either way, they've used those SMGs to build a lot of cash. But, Vince, with a buy coming in the next round, 3 SMGs, will Lollipop buy into a rifle, or is he just going to join them and go for something hyper-aggressive?
It's a good question. Going to find out very shortly. He goes in for the M4, drops the MP9 across the Speedak, allows him to maybe funnel in a bit more cash towards the AWP. Does mean that North, though, do absolutely have the better firepower. 5 AKs up against only 1 M4 and a FAMAS, and the rest of SMGs coming through. So a bonus round takes shape. CT sides for Nemiga typically aren't their strong suit. Cristo is burning, taking a lot of damage for that extension. And now they trade over a third player on Nemiga, bolstering up the utility more so than anything else. They can also fire away Speedak, who will be flashing in. They want to get the SMGs ripping through the oncoming terrorists. They've done a good job so far. It's a 1-for-1. Speedak goes down instantly afterwards. The bomb's still back at the T side, and North are starting to take control over top middle. So it appears that they're not fully investing in this B hit just yet. They may look to wrap around, though, as Gade is already making a ton of ground. He's in good form. He finds himself one, stays alive, bits out of position, and now Cajun's looking for entries, can't find it, can't get it done. Lollipop helps out MDS, he gets Molotov out of position, and now the T's will start to try and get up close and personal. But maybe this is where the firepower of Nemiga will shine brighter. When closing the gap, be very wary of a Lollipop because he is spraying them down alongside Box. And North, hot off the back of getting their first rifle round on the T-half, are looking like they're going to get shut down. Nemiga keep 3, they can trade up to the AKs, they are looking good.
Oh, there seems to be a polar difference. You could say mind the gap between the train and the Lollipop, because the fact is Lollipop, he was non-existent on that map. But coming back to Inferno, he has been back in form. Some clutches, some good holds, and up the top of the board with 17 kills, 100 ADR. The only man beating him at this point is going to be Christo. Well, we're going to just see some investment now into the Deegs. A huge start to this. And you have to bear in mind, that, by all accounts, was a bonus round for Nemiga. That was a lot of SMGs, three MP9s, in fact, and only one M4 actually in play. The fact they managed to win that round is going to give them a huge bolster, not only in weaponry, but also in cash. Now, SpeedHack in this series thus far, well, that pretty much defines it perfectly. It's been with City. He's not had a good game. And although they haven't necessarily needed him thus far, on the CT side, I expect he should play a pivotal part, but it's not getting any better, even in a round versus Eagles, and now Lecro steps up. Lollipop looking like he might have to put them on his back again.
2 players are weakened, which will allow Lollipop more opportunities to shine. But North still have opportunities. They still have options to pull back and go towards the B side of the map. Now, if you know that Lollipop's on arches, understandable if you just give in. There's no shame in it. The guy is an absolute monster. But another one, Deke. Lollipop, at some point, may think about going over to B and helping his teammate out, especially if a call comes through. With 30 seconds, though, North need to make a decision, and Lollipop gets winged, but stands tall to deliver onto Lecro. Meanwhile, though, players moving onto the site. Does he realize it? Now he spots it. The ebony and flowing of Cajun's 14 HP. Kriaz coming out into the open. He will be going for the plant. It's a safe one. Also planted for Pit, though. Flashbang out will do nothing to denying this plant coming out. And now Lollipop only has one more at his disposal. Jo making moves, though. Shrouded by the flashbang, getting into quad. Lollipop watching Pit, and the smoke goes out towards the Pit side. This actually will directly hamper North holding down the site. It really hurts the player in Pit. Cajun now has to make some noise. He's hoping that Kriaz can make the most of this chaos and put some frags out. There's one. Now Jo's stuck between 2 places. Time is running scarce. He's got a kit, but doesn't have the head anymore. Kriaz puts it off, and North with Deagles somehow get the job done.
Oh, very well played by North in that round and just picking them apart. And again, it comes down to SpeedHack. He is having a nightmare game. Like, he had 2 opportunities for what seemed like 3 kills and just missed both shots. And, well, if that's happening to your Europa, it's unacceptable. Kriaz as well, superb round. You mentioned it, with a clean finish to that as well. And I guess you could say they get their guns back, Vince, after losing what was a pretty poor round from them themselves off the back of mostly SMGs. They now get the boost to their own economy.
Absolutely. The point that you raised in the previous round, which was spot on, about Nemiga being able to get some bank together, well, that's been nullified well and truly. Jo is all by himself with a Zeus. Also, somewhat of a safety net, an early alarm bell that has been rung alongside the head of Box. And now SpeedHack, that's not a great smoke. He can maybe make the most of that. Do North realize how poor the smoke is? If they do, they'll quickly wrap through, and now they find out. This is also where the icon of not being banged through the smoke actually helps North. Now they know, oh, hold on, he didn't just get lucky. We whiffed the smoke bad. Let's not push.
Well, they're going to rotate back around, and Lollipop, again, is going to be called upon. This time, though, I don't think it's really fair to ask too much of the star player of Nemiga. 4 players pushing in his direction. The only man here in a Deagle is all he has. In fact, he's just going to fall off the angle. Looks like he's going to save, which I guess he really wants to keep his Deag.
Yeah, I think it may be 2-pronged. Like, there's one aspect of maybe just staying alive and seeing if we can get an exit, but it's also to bodyguard MDS. You're not entirely sure if all of North are over on A. Maybe one of them is lurking in the shadows and wants to try and deal with this AK threat. Regardless, though, they can now post up. They've gone all the way around the map to try and look for some exits. So they're playing this one more intelligently, want to try and bypass a couple of these guns. You can see economy's not great for Christo. Lekro's economy is a little bit dodgy. They can do some damage here, and Lollipop fully fancies himself to get some damage out, but it won't be happening. It's him and Speedak that have been dealt with accordingly. It means that Nemiga do hold on to one weapon. Not too bad, but North have tied us up to 10-10.
Yeah, their economy's looking good for it as well. I wouldn't recommend intentionally losing and then winning a round and stealing your opponent's weaponry, but it's worked. It's given them a nice little boost, a break from what was a bombardment of the Nemiga side. But here comes the double up setup. Now, as said, Speedak's been lacking a bit, but Jo is a very competent secondary AWPer, and he will be holding that over onto the B side. So a change in dynamic, which, if spotted by North, they could easily try and break back against. Faster plays, maybe a swift move towards this A site, and with Speedak having a bit of a rough time, could end up being more of a burden than anything else. Not going to be staying around to fight the angle, and in fact, they've double up arch side to try and almost give some support. That support is also the man who normally does most of the damage. A nice flashbang gives him a chance to get away. He only survives on low HP, however. There's an assist from Speedak this time. MBS looking to try and help him, and grenades being expended to try and clear Kriaz from this back corner. Speedak now really coming up trumps, having a big round for his side, but there's a response. Christo and Kriaz, in turn, both finding a kill, and now Speedak's actually somewhat stuck towards the back of this site.
It's a great flashbang as well. Fully dispatches him. Can't do anything, but it's a wide sweep. And a slow one at that. He gets punished. Kriaz with the AK, just trying to do some damage on his way out. He's about to get peeked from Graveyard. And Box makes sure that all those bullets are expended on the way out of an 11-10 lead. Now, North can rebuy no problems. Amiga will have to deplete some of their funds to replenish the guns. But that was a really good setup, and the player in Pip did so much work for Nemiga. Like, the amount of time that he wasted and funneled away allowed those AWPs to set up in position, watching the cross, allowed Speedak to have some impact. And yes, he's had a very quiet game still, but at least he's now starting to get a little bit of impact to come to the forefront. Better late than never, Tom.
Exactly. And the fact is they're still winning. Even with his slow performance, they are still in the lead. So if he can now come back, it might just be an easy cruise to the finish line on their map choice, and then heading into Nuke. Wow. Probably be feeling a little bit more confident. As I said, this is a map that there was a point where, including the CIS RMR, which has teams like VP Spirit, they even beat Spirit 2-0 in the last RMR, or New York. They have proven themselves on this map. The only loss they had with Lollipop, I think, was VP, and then one versus Sword just before the injury. This is a map they like to play. North, though, they're putting up a good fight. Fantastic Molotov. The smoke might actually bait them, though. Will they think that there's a second player lurking inside? You'd have to hope that they'd have an inkling, but it seems like they're just going to bypass this position. MDS has had some of the biggest plays of this map so far to give favor to this Nemiga side, and he's about to spot multiple players. Both go down, looking for his third, or even just to try and back away. He does a lot of damage, but more importantly, puts them in the driver's seat. Christo, though, he's well placed. He's found the kill, but he does not expect. Jo misses a sitter. I don't know how he doesn't get that, and he's punished for it. An easy kill for the Estonian. And it's left onto Speedak. He has no choice but to say, Vince, there were so many opportunities here for Nemiga, and they don't capitalize on any of them.
JO's reaction kind of just said it all. It was dumbfounded, shock, awe, disappointment, realization, like so many emotions put into one reaction there. Because he knows that he had the key to this round. He had the key to getting Nemiga's economy set, to pushing North back a couple of steps, to taking a 12-10 lead, and now they're facing elimination. Now North are right back into this. Nemiga can maybe scrape together a buy of some sort. It's not going to be ideal, but that miss is so devastating. And they won't be able to get a buy together. Like, the only thing that could work out is that because SpeedAxe on 1400, they may have to double eco, and they may feel like now's the best time to try and come out swinging. But of course, the issue with that, Tom, is if you're unsuccessful, you've just force-bought yourself into a massive, brutal corner. And North have been ruthless today. That trained performance showed it all. They decide not to force. For me, that's the correct decision. The game's not over just yet, but my God, does it put North in a great spot.
Cristo as well, someone we highlighted to have some of the big games when he was playing for AGF. Like I said, he was one of the players of the day, but definitely have quieter performances. He's looking very good on Inferno. Strong with the AWP on the CT side, and on the T side, he's had some massively impact clutch situations. 2 kills for him to open up the B site, and well, they're now going to aggress. Actually, they've managed to find a couple back. SpeedAxe still hanging around, trying to deny presence onto the bomb. He has to know that Kriez is here. Kriez got a kill, so if he doesn't know, it's a massive mistake, and he does. Peeks out, takes him down, and continues to hold this site. As said, he's had some quieter rounds in this game thus far, but since moving on to the CT side, we've seen a step up. Smoke going to be expended. Cajun B looks to be the playmaker again. Bypasses both players, but ends up in a crossfire. And now Gade knows. 2 players on A, 1 player on B, but the weaponry definitely favors that B site holder.
I can't believe that North are actually in a position where they may lose this round against what was basically P250s and 1 AWP. Now, Gade's had a phenomenal train. Hasn't quite been at the same mark here on Inferno, but this would be a good way of bringing it back. And instantly, MDS shuts him down. And that could be the combo breaker. That could be the moment when Nemiga take a stranglehold over Inferno. I'm speechless. How did North lose that round?
It feels like we need someone to clip this in a way where it's Vince going like, and yeah, North have just put themselves into a great position. There's like, da, 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 da. That's what we need. That's the exact moment we need right now, because yeah, they just lost to a few players pushing down Banana, and then a crossfire on the A site, and there was only 1 AWP. Now, granted, that AWP did get a couple of kills, but they still lost more players to the pistols. North maybe letting things slip here, but they've got some of their own, and they will be able to buy into the next round fairly comfortably as well. So it's only going to be 13-11. It's not a death sentence just yet, but the fact is, Nemiga have almost built off momentum this entire game. You don't want to just hand them some more.
No, yeah, that felt like the momentum shift. And yet it's gone back around like a yo-yo, like a seesaw of Counter-Strike. Gade, shoulder peeking, does take quite a bit of damage, but he's forced box off the angle. That does open up arches. They could even wrap around if they so chose. Try and get around the back of Library at least. And our box has to be careful. He's looking at multiple angles. 1-for-1 trade is good for North. They can now use that M4 and try and utilize it over on the A side of the map. Now, there's 3 of the 4 players remaining over here. Lollipop gets spotted. Still time for North to pull the plug and go back to B site. But it's going to be pretty slow. And I think they realize that if they don't show their hand, it's likely Nemiga will send at least 1 player over on B and treat that as the wraparound play. That is successful. That is certainly a good read of the situation. This puts North in a 3-on-2, but they have no utility, and it's just going to be pistols trying to fend off against MDS. They went for a run boost. They get across the quad, but MDS instantly puts down the headshot. Goes back in for more. He'll get more. It's nothing but headshots. And the man from Belarus bulldozes North.
Yeah, we spoke about it previously, that we saw the downs of this man during Open, having a really rough time on Inferno, and now we're seeing the up and ups. 20 and 16. He has definitely had the most impactful frags of this entire match so far. I don't think that's even questionable. There's now been 3 double kills I can think of that specifically changed rounds, even if one of them actually did flip back into North's favor with a few mistakes and missed shots from the other players on the team. We do have a buy up now for North, but again, there's a few pieces missing. Utility is mostly into the hands of Cristo and Gade, and they've only got 1 Molotov, which looks to be set for a B-side take. Box is actually going to push off of this and regain control of Banana. Lekro goes for the peek in and just about wins the duel. 18 HP, and wow, it's a short-lived win.
The bomb's also back at T-spawn, so even if North were successful with another entry, you're looking at a good 15, 20 seconds if they run the whole way to go retrieve the bomb. So suggests to me they may end up on the A site instead. Or at the very least try and feel out and probe this A defense. If they can get rid of a couple of grenades, all the better for it. Lollipop now taking a different angle. Haven't really played the alcove just yet. But Gage seems to know it's a distinct possibility. Does he hold on to his gun? Oh, the timing is so rough, and Speedak has dealt with Christo. And the reaction says it all. That was a round. If they just waited an extra second or two, Lollipop could have walked into the crosshair. Could have been an entirely different circumstance. But as it stands, it's going to be Kriaz 1-on-4. No control of the bomb. No time in which to utilize. And Nemiga will be moving to 14-11. And the economy of North is bleak.
Yeah, I think that might be the combo breaker right there. That pistol round just seems to be breathing life into Nemiga. And as you said, this round especially, everything went right for them. All the timing peaks they ever could have dreamed of. And wow, I saw mentioned it at the beginning. That's something they seem to be very good at on this map. They just are very good at catching players off guard. And sometimes, like, if you looked at maybe a map from Nemiga in isolation and say, oh, you know, some of these things just look a little bit lucky. If they win 10 maps in a row versus a lot of different caliber teams from different regions, be it in MDL, be it in, as I said, the New York by ESL, it's not really luck anymore. If they do this on a regular basis, they have got the skill of managing to find those timing peaks. They're battling for Banana once again. It's been something they've done throughout the map, and Box is already going to find Lekro through the smoke. One of the players to fear when Deagles are in play, and North have actually gone all in on this round. Their money's not going to be fantastic for the next round, so they've risked it here to try and give themselves an extra lifeline. And to be fair to them, both teams have now had massive successes when it comes to these pistols.
Well, they certainly have, and they've managed to funnel away this into a 4v2. Most of Nemiga had already rotated across to the A side, but Box doesn't need any backup. Him and Jo are doing it all alone. Christo's forced away. And again, I go back to that moment, Tom. The moment with Speedak on an AWP. The rest of Nemiga on P250s. They get that round done, and from there on out, North have not been successful. They've been getting pummeled, skewered, and just gradually ebbed out of this map. Nemiga, 4 map points. Economy for North is rough again. May very well be a similar purchase. Maybe some Galils will come to the mix, but it's looking more and more likely with every passing second that we're destined for nuke.
Yeah, they're actually going to take what is their first pause as well, so maybe needed to come in a little bit sooner. I can understand it in this case because the rounds have been very back and forth. Although, I guess if you're winning a lot of rounds with pistols and not necessarily with your proper rifle buys, you might need to take a moment a bit earlier in the game. But as said, I can kind of understand it, especially with the ability for coaches to talk for the majority of the match while it's online. You don't really have to pause as often if it's just a quick change you're trying to make. Unfortunately, there's no really good option for them here. They've got some Mac 10s. I wouldn't be surprised if they tried to challenge on Banana once more, or maybe went for a fast apartments play. Those are the two standard when you have a Mac 10. And by the looks of it, they're going to go for the prior and just run and gun up Banana.
They will live by this or die by it. Oh! And Box, well, he's putting them to bed pretty convincingly. It's 3 kills to Box. And even though some counter flashes are coming in and Jo has fallen, there's a fast rotation from Nemiga going down middle right now. All Box has to do is survive a bit longer. He has fallen, so they can trade up some weapons. They're anticipating this push is coming in. So maybe North aren't done just yet. They're still in this round by the slimmest of margins.
Lollipop. He actually second guesses himself. He was looking to push behind them, but decided to wrap all the way around. Look to play this with the remainder of the team. The smoke going to fall back down, and MDS trying to deny anyone from crossing, but Aid has already made the move. Now the full force of Nemiga is going to be waiting around this angle. Gade had some pretty big hero plays in the early stages and also on the previous map, and Cristo has been their star when it comes to Inferno. He lasts not a second as Gade is left to do everything. The in-game leader in charge of saving them on Inferno. Nuke comes up next, and he's going to try and wrap around, but they're just sticking the plant. He thinks it's a fake, and he's been baited in, and unfortunately, head in hands is all they'll gain. It is Nemiga to take their map choice, to turn things back after what was an atrocious showing on Train. And Vince, you know what? We're starting to see the Nemiga we know and love.
Yeah, it took them long enough, Tom. You know, it took them an entire map, but eventually they got there. North with some pretty big blunders that cost them dearly. I really do think that they should have had that map. Around 12-11, economy was bad, and I genuinely think that that was their golden ticket to take this 2-0. Now going through to Nuke, there's a lot of open-ended questions. We don't really know what to expect from North, but of course, now Nemiga are looking good to potentially take this 2-1.
Yeah, that will be the case. And of course, before that, we are going to break things down. But first, Vince, a break. A few crucial rounds is all it takes to turn the tide of a match, and North seem to lose the fair majority of them. A few 1v2s coming out from Lollipop, MDS with some double kills, and more importantly, a round where Speedak with an AWP and the rest of the players on pistols is what turns this match into an Nemiga victory. A map that they have been fantastic on, and Vince, unfortunately, we now could be seeing either of these teams slipping out of the tournament, as Nemiga, if they win the next one, will send North home. Yeah, for sure. I think this is a map where they're a little bit more confident as well. Like, Train sort of looked fairly questionable. Like, I was sat there going like, I don't really know if they know what they're doing at all. So I'm kind of hoping that we'll see more from them on this map. But either way, it was a much better performance even from them on an individual level. Like, they looked good. Lollipop looked good. MDS looked good. Box even had his moments. And although Speedak was a little bit flat, which does worry me a little bit for Nuke, I'm actually interested to see who's going to be starting on what side, because I think when it comes down to the T side of this Nemiga roster, there's one man. I'm looking mainly at MDS. This man likes to run outside and just run through smokes and take massive risks. And although it's entertaining, a lot of the time we do see teams shut them down. So hopefully that won't be the case and we'll get ourselves a good match. I also kind of hope that we get to see some of that Danish Counter-Strike that we love to witness on a map like Nuke, Vince.
No, that's definitely something that I'm going to be looking forward to. They're pretty much the pioneers, I want to say, of Nuke. When it came to the newer iteration, it was, you know, the likes of Heroic and these kind of teams that always went in there. And North were an early adapter as well of Nuke, albeit different roster, of course. But the fact for me that Speedak had a very, very poor start on Inferno does make me a little bit nervous for Nemiga if he doesn't start well here as well. I think it's going to be quite difficult for them to hold outside control against North if they do go really aggressive. And so that's going to be a key area of the map that I'll be looking towards. And I need to see more from Speedak, if I'm being real here, Tom, because even if Nemiga do survive today and they just narrowly escape elimination, if they play against one of the top teams and Speedak has a performance like this, they're going to get brutalized. They are going to get wrecked.
Yeah, few positives though, even though they did lose Inferno. Kriaz and Cristo, two top fraggers in the server for their side. So the two people that they brought in are definitely putting up the numbers. It was a bit of a rougher time for the likes of Cage and B. Gate as well. Didn't seem anywhere near as comfortable with some of the aggressive plays he was making. But I think we can cut them a little bit of slack. Like, they are a team that, again, has only had a few days practice. You might be thinking, Tom, well, that they had the plan to sort of bring them in a little bit earlier. But the fact is they've actually only had a couple of days.
Yeah, and that's where the query comes in for me. Like, how much realistically have they been able to put together at very short notice on a map like Nuke that is one of the more strategically heavy maps? Like, obviously, you've got the very straightforward standard executes, like the smoke wall outside. Everyone knows this. But I'm thinking more about like A executes. Do they have the Molotov with the flashes down? Are we just going to see North consistently repeating the outside control over and over and over again? Because at some stage, Nemiga will have their number. At some stage, that will cost them. So this is where we're going to find out a lot of answers to the questions that we've been posing over the last couple of days regarding North.
Yeah, for sure. And again, like I think that this is a map where Nemiga can definitely have more opportunities to go aggressive than what we saw on Train. Like they seem so disjointed. I was sort of looking at it going like, I don't really know if they sort of know what they're doing on that map. Whereas I expect them to take more map control on outside in particular. And realistically, I'm hoping that it's going to be an all-round better map because, well, after the last one, Vince, I was kind of disappointed. Well, not the last one. The first one, I was kind of disappointed. At the same time, even when it comes down to just them on the map itself on Inferno, I was still sort of sat there going there, okay, if it wasn't for all of their individual players bailing them out of situations like MDS with the openers, as said, like Lollipop with a couple of clutches, they probably still lose that map. So if that's your map choice and you're still relying heavily on individual players to drag you through it, then I'm not really feeling overly confident.
I believe we have an interview lined up though, Tom, before we do get into this next and final map.
I can't say I'm very disappointed. It was a very good game, very good opponent. For sure they're stronger than us, but we managed to fight. It wasn't like 16-2, 16-3 or something like this. We managed to show our game and it's fine. We did our best.
The first one, Lollipop keeps away from it. Flash from Eminek is timing, good cleanup.
I think this game will be much easier than the game with J2 against North. And I think we will be able to show our potential and play better than we played against G2. I think it will be an interesting game, and I hope we will win this.
Hunter and MDS cuts off the player towards tunnels. This is a slaughter.
Well, definitely going to be interesting to see how they actually go about sort of fixing all the issues we witnessed going into that last map, and even the first one more in particular. But of course, Vince, we kind of have to edge towards this third and final map. And again, with Nuke being the sort of upcoming one, I do have questions for both of the teams. We're yet to see North on this map at all. It's been one that they are yet to play with this roster. We've only seen over past Inferno and Train. So will Nuke be the new safe haven of North, or an Nemiga going to knock them out of the tournament?